Hi, everyone. Good noon. Good morning. Yes, how are you doing today? Great, great. Yeah, thank you for attending my session. There's a lot of parallel sessions going on, and I'm glad that you devoted time to attend my session today. And it is my first time at Øredev Developer Conference, so great to be here. And today I'm standing in front of you to share about how you can develop .NET applications using Azure Developer CLI, also known as ACD. And it will be an interesting topic, but I'm curious, who among you have tried ACD before? Well, we got a few. That's good. And the rest is the learning journey. So I hope I will present to you something good today. So today I will be discussing or sharing a bit about what is developer productivity in relevance with teamwork and collaboration. And I want to ask you this ice-breaking question. To those who dare, you can stand up and share. I really like this intimate kind of setup that we have in terms of interaction. And I want to share when you try to build something for the cloud or applications, I wonder what you think about how productive are you when you build applications for the cloud or for any IT systems? Do you feel productive when you are working with your colleagues or collaborating with your teammates? Do you feel productive? Who wants to share something? Do you feel productive? Raise your hand. Yes, depends, right? Depends on the tool that we're using, the language that we're using, and although also the things that we are working for that's fun to work with. And the reason why I started up with this because of, as I said, the tool that I'm going to present is about developer productivity that helps us with team collaboration as well. So I asked AI the question because AI is so trending today. I use AI a lot, especially Copilot, in terms of like asking questions instead of Googling, and then you get like lots of results. I use AI to have a compiled list of the things that I want to have and some references. So I asked Copilot a question, and I asked, what are the common challenges that developers face when it comes to developer productivity and team collaboration today? And I'm sure while you're sitting there in front of me, you might have already a few ideas in your mind. So I'm sharing to you what Copilot answered. So it wasn't this on the right side that you see. That's the answer of Copilot, the screenshot. But I captured the top three, which kind of like something I can relate as a developer myself working with cloud development projects or application project. And the top three that I noticed and I highlighted is that the interruption of flow state. Interruption of flow state means that sometimes when we are working in a project or a coding project, we are we don't really get that flow state right away, especially when we have this interruption between our communication and things that we do day to day, especially when you're working from home. And then the slow inner loop, meaning that when you have finished your task from development, you have to go through the loop of having it tested, and then when it is tested it needs to go through UAT. So it takes time. The loops between before it gets delivered to production or the finished products also takes time. It requires communication. And one thing that Copilot also highlighted that I also agree is the lack of collaboration tools where everybody, development team, platform engineering team, infrastructure team, and even those architects can collaborate together in one tool. So to those of you that have not seen me before in some conferences, it's my first time, so I just want to briefly introduce myself. So I work as a senior Azure consultant at Solidify. I am a person or a woman in tech with a lot of badges and title that you see there. I wrote a book because of a cloud migration journey, which I am actually giving away a few copies today. But I am someone who's get on stages because I'm really passionate to inspire about what I do and what I think is interesting for us developers. So that's about me, and feel free to find me anywhere. If you just search my name and the blue bird, the parrot there, you will find me. So Azure Developer CLI, what is it? It is an open source tool. It's pretty new. I believe it was released or announced by Microsoft in 2022, and it has been trending lately, and it's very good tool. And speaking of book, if you want to have a chance to have copies of this, feel free to scan the QR code. I'm giving away 2 signed copies, signed already, and some ebooks. And if you want to learn, so take time to scan it. It matches my dress. It became my trend already. But someone asked me, Jonah, did you write this book and ask Rayleigh to have a blue bird, just like your dresses? And I said, no, I had to finish the book to find out what bird I will get. So it was interesting, but it just so happened that as you see there, it's a bird called hyacinth macaw, the largest parrot in the world, only found in South America. And I really liked it because it shows the Swedish colors. So you can see it's like the beak is like has some it's black, and then the blue, and then the yellow. So it's a good one. I love it, and I'm glad that I got it, and I didn't got an animal that I did not like. Anyway, I'll go proceed. I'll show the QR code if you missed it, so I give you a chance to include everybody. So I'll proceed. So to those of you that are working with Azure, this is the typical infrastructure, very simple that you see. So you have your Microsoft Azure as your platform, and then you have your resource group where you serve as a logical container for everything. You have your identity, you have your networking, you have the key vault for like keys management, and very simple app for different environments, production, staging, and different environments for that. And you have your CI/CD. That's the basic one that you have. And it's just a simple one. It can be very complex depending on your architecture and your use case. However, when you're regardless of what level you have in development today as a developer, you get into a project where either you need to do a POC or you get inside a project that are existing. And both of those require actually a learning process as there is someone new in the project and existing. And when you start a project to the cloud, it requires planning. You have to think about the plan for the POC, proof of concept with this POC. If it's migration, it's also another planning there. The team, the superheroes team that will like build this project that you have, the responsibility, who is responsible for what, the technology stack that we have, the tools that the team is going to use to speed up or to deliver the project. And when you zoom, because this room is zoom out, and then I didn't expect that I will get a zoom. It connects also with my talk, but when you zoom into the technology stack, you also need to think about the front end languages, the back end languages. Are you going to implement security within your DevOps or pipelines? Infrastructure, cloud, testing, automation, and even AI, which I missed here. AI is also something that is trending, that is good to learn and good to implement as well. So all of these things matter, especially in projects that we are building, existing or POC. So there are source code everywhere. So in my project, for example, as a consultant, we use different tools. So we have our source code in Bitbucket for the application. We have our infrastructure as code, the Terraform code in Azure repos. And then we use our business. They want to use Jira for project management. So if you're someone that's new in the project, you might be wondering, I need to learn that, I need to learn that. And if you're a beginner, it's confusing. If you've been in the project for many years, it's fine. You're already on the flow, you have your routine, you have your day-to-day things that you do. But how about those that are joining the team? They need to get onboarded on the project. So we speed it up, we work together. So it is a challenge in my perspective. And I've been working as a developer or consultant for like 9 years. And it's one of the things that I can relate, which makes me that every time I see a new team member, I'm always like welcoming and inclusive to them and mentoring them that this is how it works, and they will be able to proceed and help in the project. So developer productivity matters. And if you agree to that, I think you're going to raise your hand, I hope. Do you agree that developer productivity matters? Who doesn't agree? Yes. Otherwise, it's also like I think it really matters because when we develop, we want to have that flow. Like I'm working from home, remote for the last 3-4 years since pandemic, and I heard the research that since we started working from home, we've been working a lot more, and I believe that having this flow when we're into the flow is something that you don't get all the time within 8 hours of our work. So it's more like about the quality of what we deliver. And developers can resonate to this. So as you can see in this image, novice programmers, yeah, for the first time, we're very excited that we have like fixed our code or developed something. And once you're experienced, it also like a different reaction that we have. And I watch Mr. Robot, and we have this stereotype of programmers that we are like in our zone, in our flow, which also matters in my perspective. When I'm working, I work. However, we also need to collaborate, which is very important in every project. However, too much distractions affects our brains as well, like small things that pops up when we're trying to focus. And there is actually a good example of that in reality sometimes. Like when you just finish something and then you have to fix a critical bug, and then you have to do it again because the QA or the testers are not satisfied with your bug, or maybe the business doesn't are not really qualified. So that's the an example of the slow inner loop. You want to move forward, fix this because I have a to-do list on my Jira or my projects. So it's one example. And sometimes when we are distracted, we go Google, go use the internet, and we want to have fun with our code. I mean, distract us ourselves just to kind of like disconnect from what we were doing and refresh our minds to solve a problem. And this is one thing that I saw actually that Copilot suggested. What are the funny programming jokes that our memes that are common today? And this is one that I saw. Someone taking a picture that he was in the airplane, but it's actually a toilet thing. And then how to confuse machine learning. I found that I have a Labradoodle dog, so I thought it was a good example. So developer productivity was actually researched by Microsoft. So there is a space framework. If you haven't heard of it, you can read more about it. I think it's a very interesting study to read about, especially for us. If it matters to you, it's about satisfaction, performance, and how effective we are when we are working in our projects. And it is important. So developers CLI, also known as ACD, it's empowered by different commands. Usually it starts with the prefix ACD and some set of commands. It is polyglot, meaning it is not restricted to only one programming language. You can code with it or use it using Java, Python, and other languages, actually, and even building things with AI. And it is developer centric, meaning that it focuses from the development or the front end code, the back end code, the CI/CD, and the infrastructure, which means that you code Bicep, Terraform, and deploy it to different types of like different ways to Azure. And of course, collaboration, shared workspace. You don't need to have the backend code here, front end code here, CI/CD there. So everyone gets this shared workspace where everybody can collaborate in different teams. So this is awesome ACD template. So this is like kind of the heart of this tool. And who are front end developers or developers working with front end? Yes, familiar with Bootstrap, kind of like in yeah. So you can think of ACD as like the boiler template or bootstrap of Azure, but you have everything. You have your backend code, source code, everything inside it in the shared workspace, and you control it, the flow, using the commands that they built for us developers. So this is once you have set up your local environment, there's a command called ACD template list, which is the very first step that you need to do. So first, you need to evaluate what is your POC or proof of concept. What is your project? Do we need a database? What language it is? The things that I shared earlier. And then when you check the different templates for ACD, there are actually different types. Like there are templates that were built by Microsoft, and there are also templates that are open source because it's open source. It's open for us developers to contribute. Let's just say you have a great idea of a template because you had a use case, and it's not restricted to your company, and it's open. You can actually contribute your project into the community, which is used by other developers across the globe. But as you can see here in the list, there's like Node.js, C#, it's polyglot. And you can even build containers with it. So if you go to this site, aka.ms, awesome ACD, you will get the user-friendly version where you can filter the different types of templates. So how does the typical infrastructure, or project folder looks like in an ACD? I hope that you can see it in the back, but let's see if I can zoom. Can you see it in the back, or I'll zoom? Oh, good that I can zoom. Okay, so the typical ACD template, the one that I highlighted there, has this like default folders. Like for example, for AZDO, Azure DevOps. So there is a YAML file there already that's built in for you or that you can customize. That Azure is the folder where you're creating the environment. So in this case or screenshot, you do see that I have a dev environment, but I can create several environments, and I can also have my configuration for each of that environment. And then there's also configuration for like Docker file if you are using containers and Dockers. And then GitHub workflows for that. And then infra folder is for the infrastructure as code. And since it is Microsoft, the default is Bicep on most of the template. However, there is a support for Terraform. If you are using a Terraform or have a POC that requires Terraform as your infrastructure as code. And then there's also SRC, which is the source code itself. So this is a C#. So the API, of course, is the backend languages that you have. So you have, in this case or example, it's a to-do list, and it has APIs. And then there's web, where you have your front end, and then you can also have test inside your ACD template. And then one other important file in this template, you will notice regardless of whatever template that you choose or whatever language it is, you will get this Azure.yaml like file, which describes the different resources or structure that you have for the components in your project. And this is just a template. You might ask and wonder, Jonah, what if I have my own code, existing code? I already have one. Can I use ACD? Yes, you can. So this one is just a template, but you can use the ACD tool, CLI, to build your own customized one. So this is just a layout or a boiler template to those who don't know where to start. And I myself, in my perspective, thinks that it's user friendly in my opinion, especially if you're someone that are just like getting started with one specific technology, like for example infrastructure as code. You don't know how to code bicep, but you see, oh, this is building an app service, this is how it is coded. So it's very what do you call that, it is a great way to connect and help other developers as well. So how does ACD workflow looks like? So first, you select a template. Once you know what you need, you select your template, and then you initialize it using the command ACD init. So once it is initialized, assuming that you already have your local environment prepared on your machine, you initialize it, you get all those folders that I showed you, and then you code up your front end, your back end, configure all the things that you need for your DevOps, whatever it is. Is it DevOps pipelines or it's GitHub workflows? The parameters and naming conventions that you have for your Azure resources. You could code it up based on the naming that you need for your project, the environments, of course, and the Azure YAML if you need to see the structure, which shows the overview. And then when you're ready, you deploy it to Azure using the command ACD up. And then you might wonder, Jonah, what if I want to make changes to my backend code, my front end, or any of my infrastructure? I want to add an app service or a new container. There is actually a way, of course, for you to do that without redoing everything from scratch. So you iterate your code changes between your teams, whatever the changes, just like a normal flow when we do a PR and pushing the code. And then when you're done, you do the command ACD deploy. So this is like the top list of commands and what it does. Initialize, up, deploy. And if you need to update your infrastructure, which is optional and you don't need to do it often, you can use the command provision. And you don't need to memorize it because there isn't too many. And if you forget, it's okay. There is actually good documentation and help for that. But it's very easy to learn, in my perspective, for everybody. And you might wonder, Jonah, if I do ACD up, how does it know? It's open source. I just pulled this code. How does it know that it deploys to the right environment? And it doesn't deploy my code or data to somebody else's account. So there is actually a control. So when you do ACD up, it actually controls, hey, where are you deploying this? So it will ask you to authenticate yourself to Azure. And even it will ask you what region, what subscription, what's the resource group where you're gonna deploy your infrastructure for that. And it's also allowed to do ACD down. And I really like it because especially when you're doing demo or small things for like work or things that you need to just tear down. So there's an ACD down, just like when you do select all from database and it deletes everything. So there is also that, and it just takes a few minutes. So it takes, let's just say I want to build several containers to Azure with infrastructure. It takes about 10, 15 minutes after the command. Very easy. And then we turn it down. It's also very easy. You don't need to go to Azure portal and then click everything and then delete. So it's more like automated way to tear down some infrastructure, which probably you don't want to do if you are in a project that are in production. So be careful with the ACD down and ACD delete. So in practical, so deleting resources looks like this. It's gonna like summarize the things that you have in your infrastructure deployed to Azure. And then just like when you're deleting anything else, at least they built this for the tool. It's gonna warn you. Are you sure? Do you want to really delete this? And you have to do the classic command line yes or no answer, and then it's gonna take its few minutes, and it tears down all the infrastructure that you don't need. And it's very useful, especially if you don't wanna do it manually. How about monitoring? So monitoring is also possible with ACD. So while you're deploying or developing with this, you can do monitoring either by logs, live metrics, or logs inside it. And it's not really built in the CLI, the command line, but it is integrated with App Insights. Debugging for us developers also matters. So if you want to debug live, you can use it the same way as we do in the VS Code. And if you want to like save the logs or information of those things that you want to track, you can actually indicate also the text file that you want to save it to. There's a lot more. I mean, not all of them. There's not so many. Maybe there's about like 20 commands. But if you scan this QR code, you will see all of them and how it works, including how to do like restoring, creating versions, setting up the pipeline, and authentication, as well as setting up the hooks in your ACD. So how do you get started? I'm sorry, someone is scanning. Do you want to scan? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I was too quick. Yeah, sure. Yes, you can use it to deploy to production if it's like tested and good. Yeah, yes, there's a pipeline on the folder where you set up your YAML configurations inside it, which environment it is. I'll show you later, but let's see if I can show it now. Uh, so here, this is my supposed to be my demo. So here, for example, I have two environments. Let's say I have this one is dev. Can you see the code? No, it's oh. Oh, it's not easy ACD code. Let's see. Mine is black screen, so Mark is dark mode. Let's see. There. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is like my demo now, so we'll go right ahead. So this is my on the go like demo. So I was supposed to show this before the question, but I'm gonna go it do on ad hoc answering the question while I'm doing the demo. So this is the ACD, one of the templates that I pulled up, and this is to build containers, Azure Container Apps using Dapper in C Sharp inside. So there are two microservices that's called checkout. Here I have my own simple code that does the ordering. It's actually just a loop. And then there's also another microservice here, which is the order processor that process the order, a very simple one. But to answer your question, there is actually like configurations that you can set up in each environment that you can take control. So you can choose. I hope that answers your question. Yes, thanks. So I'll just go ahead and show the example here that I have. So in my file, so this is this is first, let me do this. So you know how it looks in the architecture side or diagram. So basically, it's the template that is the Azure Container Apps template with Dopper. So there is one microservice that handles the checkout. You can think of it as a web store, and there is a microservices that on a container app that handles the checkout. And then in between that, there's Azure Service Bus that handles the messaging, and then Dopper in between for the sidecar, two sidecars. And it is deployed in Azure, and you know that it is built because the infrastructure is is built in Bicep. So you have your service bus, how the infrastructure is built. Let me just minimize that. So this is how service bus infrastructure looks like. You're building the infrastructure. This is the subscriber uh, infrastructure code as code. There's also one for the publisher, the microservice for that, and then the environments that you have for the container apps and the service bus. And that's the infrastructure. And one of the things that I want to highlight as like just an introduction, because this is just an example. You can build more with this and learn more. But as an overview, the abbreviations .json is, I believe, is a good file template, because this is where you set your naming conventions for different Azure services. So you follow, you just don't name demo or whatever. So if you have a naming convention standard in your company or project, you can use that and customize it here before you deploy it to Azure. And then there's also, let's see, this is the Azure.yaml, which this is just two right now, but it provides you an overview of what are the services in Azure that you have within your project, like order processor. The language is C#, but you can have a lot of them in different language as well, depending on how you customize it, the module, the template, and the name that you have for that. And then when you're working with Azure Container Apps locally, usually it won't work if you do ACD up until you have like a Docker desktop, like you have tested it locally. So of course you have to test it locally. So to do that test locally, there's a README file within the template that allows you to like what kind of dependencies you need. Like for example, you need the .NET, like latest version for this. This one is .NET 6. I think we have 8 and 9 now. You need a CLI to work with it locally, and then to kind of test your order processor, you need to switch between them and have them running. And when it's done, and then you do the ACD up, it will deploy the resources that you have, including the infrastructure. And since it takes about 12 minutes, I did a screenshot already directly on my code. So let me see. So I did that. How much time do I have? I still have good minutes, right? Yes, okay. All right. So when I did ACD up, let me just show it. So when I do ACD up, I had to have Docker running, and it's gonna package all my like containers and all this hash logs that you see. And then it will ask you which environment do you want to deploy to. So I have several in my connected to my account. So I selected my own Azure subscription account. And then you would need to choose your resource group and follow the steps that it asked. Authenticate yourself. And then it's going to take about 10, 12 minutes for this specific example or small one. and it will tell you when it is done. And then you might wonder, what if there's something wrong with the deployment of, for example, the container registry? It will actually show X and it will fail. It will tell you what is the problem. You need to debug it and figure it out. So there's also a debugging or problem solving involved when you deploy. So it's not just like clean and easy sometimes. So if there's a problem with your code, it won't deploy. Just like when you do deploy your code in C#, you won't build if there's like a wrong code that were formatted, things like that. So it has a good control. And if everything looks green, it's gonna continue and deploy itself to Azure. And that's not it. I'm gonna show you how it looked in Azure, because I did the pre-deployment already just to respect your time as well for the from the demo. So let me open this up. So this was the deployment I did this morning after breakfast before the talk. So this is just a template with like kind of like a hash random name, but you can change it to your configuration to name it like my project or whatever the app that you're working with. So the Azure container environments is here, and then you have your the container apps. I have my identity, my logs, my service bus inside, and you could also see the failures and the success of the deployment that you did from local to Azure using the Azure Developer CLI tool, and how long it took for it to deploy for each of those. So if there's an error here, it will show on the command line inside, and it will also show here as well, and some related events inside it. So let me just go look forward here. So that's you have so much to learn, just like Yoda said, much to learn you still have. Oh, go ahead. So yeah, I have questions at the end, but yeah, let's take questions now. Yeah, I would do it actually you can think of ACD as something on top of that already, because inside, that's a good question, thank you. So inside here, there's already like pipeline for each environment. Like let's just say this one from Øredev is like this dev Øredev 2024 is for a specific environment. There's actually a configuration inside it within this environment, like which service bus, what name, and also the YAML file for Azure DevOps is also something you can configure inside this one. I'm sorry, can you, yes? Revert the changes? Yeah, yeah, you can actually I'm not 100% sure, just being honest, but you can actually like update your like environment names, for example. Let's just say you have changes in your configurations and environment. Let's just say you don't want this dummy thing, you want it like something else. You can change your configuration and redeploy. It will detect the existing changes that already exist and then update it. But if there are some dependencies that doesn't match the naming, like for example, one microservice or container is talking to another, and then you change the name or configuration, it might fail, for example. So yes, but the DevOps pipeline is in the template itself, and when you have configured it for a specific environment, for example, production, then you're ready to deploy or do the ACD. CLI commands inside. So it's not just about deploying and doing this command. There's a lot of work within the different parts of the template that you can work on. I hope that helps. And it makes sense at least. I have some learning resources for everybody as well later that you can check out. I did write partly about it in my book. And I know, have you heard of .NET Aspire? A new thing. That is also being integrated to be developed or used with the Azure Developer CLI template. So there's a template already built for that. So if you want to get started in that type of .NET technology that came, it supports ACD as well. But yeah, let's see. I'll take questions soon. Let me see. Let me just show Yoda because I really like that one. I have a lot to share, but I always believe in learn by doing. So I did blog about this in one of my community contribution. You can read about it. It's a very basic and overview of what I also shared, but it has like a further learning resources that directs to Microsoft, which is always updated. And to those of you that speak Swedish, jag också pratar svenska. Jag kan också prata svenska. Yeah, I am from Sweden as well, but in the Norrland, north side of Sweden. And I was interviewed by Microsoft partner in Stockholm about this tool last December. So if you are curious about this tool in Swedish, you can also learn more about this tool in this podcast. And when you're learning this, learn to have fun, just like my dog. That's my dog, Lawrence, last winter. And he likes rolling in the snow. Just like also when you're developing with new tools like this, open source tools like this, you get errors, but don't be discouraged because that's the fun thing about development. We'll learn new things as we develop, of course. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And I'm ready to take some more questions. I got two already. So if you have more, I can take and answer the best I can. Maybe not as the thank you for the question. Not maybe not as the base thing to replace everything, as I said, but it is. I would recommend it to start as a POC because you have an easy like template already to start with, and most of the languages it supports or type of use cases it has. So I believe you can do that. Of course, you need to agree with your bosses that you're gonna do it or infrastructure team. Yes, yes, Mats. Mm? Yes. Yeah, right. Thanks for the question. Asov right now it's a new tool. It's open source. It is more like commonly used as like POC before you go to production. And once this POC works, also, then you can actually literally use the tool as a in the shared workspace. But it's not just like using and hey, we have this like structured uh, like tools that we've been using and we're gonna directly use ACD. So more like POC in my perspective. And if we are gonna replace the existing one with this one, I think the entire teams need to decide, hey, let's do this. Let's stop Jira. Let's stop Bitbucket. Let's do this. So it's gonna take a lot of culture change, but POC is the right word for that. And also the polyglot gives it like speed in terms of development and user friendly for beginners as well. Okay, is it I think I'm almost time, 1 minute, and that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, and feel free to connect with me by scanning this QR code. And what I'm thinking right now, I still have 1 minute, so I'm gonna do a raffle of the book to those that scan. If I have time, if you're not so hungry yet, it's 12. So let's see. I hope you had a good breakfast at least. So let me just refresh my thing here. So I see 20, and I'm gonna soon see your pretty names. Let's see. Let's just wait. Thanks for your patience. Okay, let's see. We have names here. So I'm gonna do a raffle. Let's see if I can put the sound. I know this Wilson names have a good sound. Okay. I hope I did not miss anybody here. Okay. 20 signed up. Okay, let's see. Oh, it was a local. It wasn't so like a hotel room thing. Oh, ma! Oh, Neil, I thought it was us. Neil, gratis. Okay, I was very close. I was like, okay, you'll get a copy anyway, Mats. Okay, Neil Stuvith, congrats, yes. Yeah, let me know if you want your special name written or a special message, but I pre-signed it for you. Okay, let's shuffle. Kim is also here. Or let's see. Okay, no sound. Oh, Prinsela. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, yes. I thought it was you. Okay. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy reading it. Yes, thanks, thanks, thanks. Okay, the rest, everybody, I'm sorry you didn't have a chance, but I will be sending you copies of the ebook for those of you that signed up. But thank you so much for your time. Have a good lunch or good day.